Hey everybody, welcome back. It is time for a week 2 weekly walkthrough. So let's take a look at what's happening in ENC 1102 for the second week of classes in the lovely fall semester 2025. Just a quick reminder, of course, the schedule is always available at the bottom of the homepage as well as, of course, on the syllabus page, but couple of things to keep in mind this week. You are going to have some additional readings. Last week, you had some information on kind of the background of literary studies. And then this week, we're going to be digging into two short stories in particular. I will also note while we're talking about it that there's an additional short story in the LibGuide, but you are to focus on Cat in the Rain and everyday use. So it's written out, um, but sometimes people get a little confused because there's another story. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at what is happening in the module. So, overview, of course. You always want to kind of breeze through that. You're going to be reading a couple of short stories as well as some materials that are related to them. You're going to be working on an annotated bibliography on one of the assigned stories, and then you're going to be sharing your thoughts in a video presentation. So this week you've got the readings in the LibGuide. Now, in addition to the stories themselves, you will review the author bios and included criticism. And let me just visually show you where to find that information. So in the LibGuide, and this is the one I was telling you about, Flannery O'Connor, by the way, is one of my favorite short story authors of all time. But um, due to the nature of time flying, we're just going to focus on the first two stories. But notice that in each of these sections, you've got additional information. So for Ernest Hemingway, here is the link to the story, The Cat in the Rain. Here is a set of different information on him as a writer and as an author, well-known American author. And then you also have several links to articles that are written about this particular short story. So, in addition to reading the stories, you do want to read through these as well. You will end up using some of those critical analysis pieces, especially in your fiction story or fiction paper. I can talk. Um, so you don't have to read them to memorize them or anything, but just kind of go through them, get some ideas, be thinking about if I was going to write a paper about Cat in the Rain, what in here would be helpful. So read the story first, then the information. The author biography you could actually read before you read the short story to give you some context and some background. With everyday use, same thing, but we have an additional video, a couple of videos, which is very cool. The author biography, and then, of course, the critical analyses that focus on this particular story. So these are the articles, the ones that are visual now. These are the articles that you will pull from when you write your fiction paper. You will be choosing one of the two stories to write about. You'll also be choosing one of those two stories to do your presentation on. And you can use any of this information in your presentation as well. Typically in the presentation, it's probably going to focus more on the background with the author biography, but you may also want to look at some of these kind of overviews, such as the articles from Short Stories for Students. We've got one from each of those stories. That can be really helpful in putting together your presentation as well. So keep that in mind. It is available. They're there. Always good stuff. Okay. So let's go back to the materials. We've got a lecture on the basic elements of story, and we've got some additional information on getting ready for the assignments. So elements of fiction, this is from the University of New Mexico, and then this is about creating an annotated bibliography, which you're going to be doing, and then reviewing, of course, the citation center for guides on how to cite from all our sources. So there's a link directly to the sources there. And then the library tutorials have a lot of really good information, especially focusing, of course, for this class on MLA formatting and citation. So then we go back to the module and we find the two assignments. One, of course, is the presentation. So we're going to talk about that for a moment. And then the preliminary biography for the bibliography, sorry, for the fiction paper. Let's talk about the presentation first. A lot of people get really nervous about doing presentations. I promise you, it is not that serious. You are going to be on video, you are going to be presenting, but I want you to kind of have some fun with it. So there's a really good guide for creating presentations. This is here, Presentations 101. This is something that I wrote many years ago, but it's still relevant. Your presentation should be 5 to 10 minutes in length. Don't go over that and try not to go too far under that. Sometimes when we do presentations, we do have a lot of we speed talk. So if it runs a little short, it's not the end of the world, but 5 to 10 minutes in length. You do not have to have a slideshow, but you absolutely can. Um, when you record yourself and you have say a PowerPoint, there's a variety of ways that you can do that. Kaltura, which is the system that's built into Canvas, will allow you to both be on camera and show a visual aid. So feel free to do that. You do need to have a works cited list. So even if you do not have a visual, you will need to at least turn in a works cited list with all of the things that you used for the presentation. Now, that works cited page may end up being very different in the paper, but whatever you consult to do the presentation, you want to share with this. Basically, what you're doing is talking about the story. So you're covering the formal elements of the work, all the things like the characters and the plot and the rising action and the narrative. Is it told in first person? Is it told in third person? All the things that we have learned about being the kind of basis of looking at fiction. Um, Include any research. Do mention that you're using research. And if you have visuals, if you do have a slide that has a quote on it or something, do put a citation on it. But mostly you're going to have a works cited page that you're going to hand me. You can turn in both a video and a Word document. Um, you could also use Zoom to do your presentation and save it. You can also use you can record in PowerPoint as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. I really, as you may have noticed, I use Zoom to do these recordings because I like the setup. And then I upload them to YouTube. I just realized that I'm wearing the same sweatshirt that I did in that video. How fun. Anyway, so there's videos that will help you to do that. Okay. And of course, what you are graded on is here in the rubric, 50 points for this presentation. And let's take a look at the other assignment for this week, which is the bibliography. So part of what you're going to want to do this week is to review the full assignment guide for the fiction paper. I'm not going to read that out loud to you, but the link is right here. And then this will be the basis for the bibliography that you're going to create. So, what are you doing? You're going to include the story. You're going to have 6 to 7 secondary sources, sorry. So, like the literary criticism, scholarly interpretations, those articles that are provided are perfect for that. And then 2 to 3 potential tertiary sources, which would be background. So, if you use any of the author biographies from the LibGuide, that would be a tertiary source, that sort of thing. You will have a grand total of at least 10 sources on your chosen short story. This should be the same short story that you do for the presentation or for the presentation. Although technically, if you wanted to write about a different one that you present on, I mean, you could cover both of them if you really want to. But here is the information about how to set it up. I have also given you a prepared sample MLA bibliography. This is from the library that will show you what an annotated bibliography looks like in MLA. I would strongly suggest downloading this and just using this to serve as a template because it's going to make it a lot easier. The annotations or the summaries are fairly short, 2 to 4 sentences, basically what is it about. And it also might be a good idea to include from your perspective why you might use this later, why this might be good for your paper, or if you do the presentation first and you end up using some of the sources, you could talk about why you use those as well. All right. So if you have any questions this week, please do not hesitate to reach out. I will be monitoring the inbox and the Q&A discussion board. And I look forward to seeing all your smiling faces in your presentations at the end of week 2.